Hey everybody, what's going on? Welcome back. It's Jordan here. I am just looking at the Lego city as always, and I'm trying to think, what should I do next? There's so many different things that I could do and so many different things that I'm really excited about continuing to work on. One of the major projects here is the train track. I developed these train tracks the other day, and I think they look great. They're going to go around the entire city section of the Lego city. The issue is I've got to build so many of them. Oh my gosh, I was counting it out, and I would say there's approximately 40 straight tracks that I have to build. And that doesn't include the line that goes around the amusement park, because I want to bring that style of track to about here. So if I want to bring it to there, well, that's 40 pieces of straight track that I would have to produce to get all the way to there. Plus, there would be some specialized ones, such as the curves. Of course, there would have to be a curve in the corner over there. There'd have to be a specialized switch right here, done in the same sort of style where it's like integrated right into the plate, like that there. And then I would also want it to curve around this corner and that corner. So there's 4 specialized curves, and then I would have to create some more straights for here, and also some more straights for along there. And then, once we get to this point, behind the lighthouse there, which has to move, I would probably switch it to the ballast track. So I could reuse all of these pieces of ballast track, and also some of the ballast track, which is behind the amusement park there. It's like, oh my gosh, I've got to create 40 more segments like that. They take so many pieces. I don't know if I'm going to have enough of the 2x2 dark gray tile. Even if I use 2x4, I don't know if I'm going to have enough of the dark gray tile in general to create all that. So I think in order to complete that project, I'll probably have to order some more tiles, which could be weeks away depending on how quickly Lego ships it. I'll probably have enough of the underlying plate, like all of the colorful stuff that goes underneath. Oh, that one's all dark gray, but I'll probably have enough to do that, but I don't think I'm gonna have enough dark gray tile. Another thing that I need to work on is the boardwalk here. That I should have adequate pieces to build. Like that shouldn't be an issue other than the arches and the inverted slopes, which I ran out of the other day when I was constructing those. I should be good to go along here. Maybe the only thing that I'll run out of is the trans blue tile. So I know I need to work on those 2 projects, but I literally spent my entire day yesterday doing that. So I'm trying to think of something different, because to be honest with you, I'd rather work on those 2 projects when I have another person here so that we can get more done in a shorter period of time. Also, it's rather repetitious, so I think if there's 2 people doing it, it'll sort of take the edge off a little bit. Unfortunately, I don't have help here today, but I will have help here within a couple days, so I'll take care of that when I've got some help here. I may as well spend my day today trying to further develop other sections of the city, whether it be more road plate, or maybe I can start preparing all of this ballast track, because there's a lot of ballast track that I have everywhere, and that's not where it belongs. So I can start ripping it off these base plates and start reallocating that stuff to the countryside, so that when we do create the other style of train track, the repetitious task of that, but when we get that taken care of, well, then we have something to connect to that actually makes sense. So I think that's what I'm gonna start doing. First thing I've got to do is just clear my workspace. I'm gonna work right here where there should be a boatyard. But look at all that ballast track. What I'm doing is just going around and getting it all. Oh my gosh, there's a lot of it. And that's not all of it. There's still some other miscellaneous stuff in like bins and all that. So this train track here, a lot of it was specialty built for specific situations in the old layout. So most of it is actually going to get torn apart and rebuilt into a new layout. So what I'm going to do is actually build a bunch of 32 by 32 segments, but rather than having 2 tracks on there, I'm going to have 1 track, and then the remaining studs on the left or right side of it is going to be all green, because it's going to go in the countryside, so I'll be able to customize that for landscaping or whatever it may be on the side of the track. Thankfully, I already had 7 mills plates built, and that's what I was using as my measuring stick when I was cutting this wood. So there's a bunch of 4x4 green plate and a bunch of 2x2 brick that was allocated to that, and I can sort of like perform a Lego surgical procedure so I can dissect these mills plates and save that labor and time just by transferring the old ballast tracks. And for the most part, those were on 16 by 32 base plates, and I can transfer those, put that half on, slide over the 2x2 bricks, grab all those 4x4 plates from the mills plate that I already had there, and then just doctor it up that way. I also have a bunch of other green plate, which is all in stacks, so I can take that apart and use it as well. And you can see this massive stack of 32 by 32 mills plates just accumulating in the front of the camera there. Yeah, there's a lot of them, but we need a lot of them, so that's good. It actually went together pretty quickly, but not as quickly as this time lapse depicts it. Fortunately for me, I had all this train track already built, and I had those mills plates built, so I could just sort of doctor it up and make it work for the most part. All right, let's connect the first tracks here. Got a whole stack of them there. So the train track is going to curve by the zoo there, and then it's going to transition into the countryside, and we're going to have all of these awesome mills plates. Pretty easy to connect, and they go together so quickly, and I like how these plates are sort of transferable like you just saw, and they're very easy to move around and install like all mills plates. There is a switch track that we're going to have to build as well. That one's going to be a bit more tricky. As I go through and build these, I'm trying to use all of my colorful 2x2 brick. I don't want to use my neutral color stuff. I'm trying to keep all my green, black, browns, tans, because those are more valuable to me. So I'm just trying to use all my colorful parts because I have no use for those other than the substructure, of course. They're brilliant for creating the substructure. I have built so many ballast train tracks and so many mills plates. It is absolutely mind-boggling how much time I spend on this stuff. Oh my gosh, it's just wild, but it's totally worth it in the end. It just makes this Lego city so much better, easy to transport, and it just makes it look better too. But I'll be honest with you, I'm running low in a lot of different part categories right now. Like 2x2 brick is getting pretty low. I'm not gonna use that neutral stuff. I wanna keep that. Now I'm gonna attempt to build that weird switch track. Switch tracks are a doozy to ballast. There are instructions on the L gauge website. That's what I use to build my curves and also my straights. But the switches, they require a ridiculous amount of pieces, so I just build my own. And for the most part, I just like tile underneath it, and I just take that switch track and I lay it on top and I move it back and forth, and I just lay tiles and plates and just try to fill it in as best I can. And I also add some plate work underneath just so it matches up with the other ballast tracks. And then I add the plates on the side. And in the end, it's not to the L gauge standard, but it looks good and it looks like it's compatible with the L gauge standard ballast tracks, which in the end, that's all that matters. I've got a massive pile of parts. That pile of parts is what I've been accumulating as I've been working on the Lego city. So as I destroy things and retailor things like I've done with the road plates, the different train track segments, the boardwalk plates, now the train track plates, I've just accumulated this mass amount of parts, but it's all like very useful pieces because they came from those things. So all I have to do is just dump that out on the table, and it's like, oh, okay, here I have all the dark gray plate that I require, all the 2x2 colorful bricks that I require, all the 4x4 green plates. It's all like very useful stuff. So sometimes I just like to dump it on the table, and then rather than sort it, I just build using all that stuff. But right now I'm building two 16 by 32, so half base plate segments there. It's just to fill in the awkward space on either side of that switch track that we built. And now I'm going to try and build a couple more. Oh my gosh, once again, we've gone through so many parts. It is insane how many parts this Lego city is consuming, but it is definitely worth it. And believe me, it's going to consume a lot more. So here's my ballast switch track. I think it looks pretty good. This is just floating there, but of course that would bridge onto the neighboring plate, or you could build it in the center. But I'm not going to do that based on the location of my train track. It'll make sense when I place it. I don't know if I want to continue with the 1x1 black tiles on the edge because there's no ties in the center. Realistically, I should just build the L gauge standard switch track ballast, but I don't have the parts to do it. I'd have to order the parts, and these are the parts that I have on hand. So this is the track that's just tacked down in 4 spots, 2 right here and 2 back, or 2 up here. And I can just pull it off. Guaranteed it takes the plates with it. Yep, but that's what it looks like underneath. Pretty random. And that's what the track looks like underneath. Pretty random, but it works. And that just locks in place and once again tacks down to the plate. So I'm happy with it. Matches up pretty good with the other track. So far so good. I've built 21 base plates. That's 42 pieces of track. Starting way over there, making our way this way to this access point. Tried to do all the access points in green. It's got the nice solid edge. I did the 2 half base plates, 1 on either side of the switch. Switch is floating there. That's because the curve, if it comes around here, just over this point here, and I just reinforce it on the bottom, well then it's going to be half a base plate like that. And it won't really just go through the midst of whatever is here. So I think that's probably going to be the best layout. And then it'll pass through a tunnel, or pass through, sorry, a huge mountain right here and make its way toward the downtown core. So that's going to be pretty neat. I don't know exactly how this is going to go down right here, so I'm going to leave that for when I'm actually starting to construct this area, because I don't want to specialty build something and then be like, oh no, actually it's going to make sense for the train track to switch up there and go in the middle. But then it ends right over there, so I need to build some more. I'm thinking the mountain range is probably going to go like pretty close to the edge there of that access hole, so maybe a base plate back. So I've got to build like 3 more to get to the edge there, and then I've got to figure out what I'm going to do in this train yard and how I'm going to treat all of those switches. Oh my gosh, there are a lot of switches over there. And I also need to figure out how I'm going to treat all of the turns too, or the corners. Oh my gosh, so much ballasting. This took so long on its own. There's so much more to go. That's all right. I'm down. It's going to be so cool when it's done. I can't wait. It has just been pouring out all day. I can just hear it just beating on the roof up there. Hasn't stopped. Good thing I've been inside all day. I can't believe that is 21 base plates. Like, that's longer than the existing city. 42 pieces of track, and it feels like that's nothing in this city layout, like nothing at all. Ugh. I'm gonna have to get on Bricklink and order some more pieces. I already know that, but there's still a lot of ballast track remaining here. Like, I've got all this stuff here and then all this stuff over here, but I want to use that in the train yard too. I don't know how I'm going to do this train yard. Oh my gosh, there's going to be so many switches and everything. It's going to be a little bit intimidating. Just going to need a lot of tile, or I just full on commit to the L gauge standard. I go on their website and I have a look at their instructions, and I make Bricklink wanted lists for like ballast left, or switch track left, switch track right. And then I just order enough pieces to build 10 of each. And then I'm just like good to go. I just put those in a special container and say, these are all the parts for ballasting switch tracks lefts and switch tracks right. It's probably what I should do in the end, because then it's going to look consistent with all of the other ballast stuff. It's like something I've wanted to do ever since I started introducing ballast train track back in like 2018, 2019. And here I am 5 years later and I haven't done it because it's intimidating. It's very intimidating, but I should just do it, because literally once you have the parts, it's just following basic instructions. So yeah, it's just a matter of doing it, I guess. Do I continue building more? I don't know. It's been a long day here at the studio. I haven't done just that. I was working on a different project this morning. And Jose's going for surgery tomorrow morning. Let's build some more. I guess what I mean by building more Lego is shuffling things around. I can't stand to look at this campground like this anymore. I think it's gonna look a lot better if I just spin it 180 degrees, so then we can actually see everything. It's gonna make sense because it can go up against that train track, and then I'll just leave the leftover white space on the edge of the table. It's just going to look a lot better in the end. You can also slide over all of the other plates as well. Like over there, I have all the stuff from the raised platform. Whether it be the medieval plates, there's like that airstrip, there's a bunch of different stuff, and I just think it's going to look better if it's pressed up against this train track. Also, there's like some mountains and stuff in the background, which are sort of floating, and there's like this big white table gap between them. It's like I may as well just take those and put those up against the train track as well, just so we can build some sort of scene temporarily here until I can actually figure out what we're gonna do in this space. It just sort of makes sense. I've got to look at this every day, and if you watch my channel often, well, so do you, then, you know, we may as well try and make it look a little more presentable than it already does. I think that looks a little bit better. At least we can see all the campground stuff now, like the A-frame cabin and its pond, the gravel road leading up to the treehouse, all the different campsites, all the knocked over trees. There's trees just laying everywhere. Oh no. Same with minifigures and horses. Yeah, it's definitely looked better in the past. I like the backdrop of the mountain there though. I think that's gonna be like the first tier of mountains that's gonna start on those little like filler pieces. I think that'd be pretty neat, and then sort of go up from there. Just provide a nice background for like the campground and the countryside. The exact like layout of all this stuff, clearly I have no idea. I'm just trying to get some structure going here. Got all the ballasting done, so yeah, I don't think I'm gonna do any more today. I'm ballasted out, that's it. That's all I've got in me. But hey, that's a pretty long line. Like that does look pretty good. A lot of space there. We've got all these green studs too, so we can expand the forested area. Yeah, it's gonna be awesome. Little by little, I'll continue chipping away at the details here in the city. Gotta get these trains up and going, you know, like, yeah, they can go, but I've gotta get it looking good. Get all the track ballasted, get it all tiled off, just get the structure of the trains. I just want that so bad, but man, the train circuit is huge, so it's gonna take some time, but we're getting there one day at a time, and eventually we'll get it all figured out. Everybody, I hope you enjoyed this video. Please remember to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for some more great stuff coming out in the very near future. And boom, look at that. We can actually see the campground. Pretty sweet. All right, have a great day. Farewell.